therefore your nipples are useless. The brightness of this day has given me the opportunity to bring you this video. Welcome back to my channel, Winging It with AC. My name is AC. I have my little human here, so if I keep, he's here, that's the point. Okay, so today, you know that on this channel we love to talk about breastfeeding. Now there's this video that was sort of trending in the past few days, and it was a conversation between a couple, Akah and Claire. I think they have a YouTube channel, but this was on their Instagram page, and it was a conversation that they were having about breastfeeding. So I think she recently had a baby. They recently had a baby a few weeks ago, and she's been having some struggles with breastfeeding. And from the conversation, I could tell that it's a conversation that they've had one or two times, a few times, where it has brought up a lot of tension. So they never really resolve things, or like they haven't come to, if I should say, a consensus. So I'm here just to present you with my opinion. Okay, my opinion, like I said, it's my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. You don't even have to listen to me if the first few things that come out of my mouth do not please you or don't agree with your ideas. That's absolutely fine. Now, I hope that this video doesn't end up being all over the place, so I'm going to try my best to keep it in a logical manner. Now, when they posted the video, I read their caption, and the reason why they posted the video was centered on communication, about the fact that men are more logical and are thinkers and are goal-oriented, and women are not quite the same. So they were basically trying to draw attention to the fact that in a relationship, in a marriage, you need to learn how to communicate with your partner. So I will talk a bit about that aspect, but my whole goal for this video is to talk about the breastfeeding aspect. All right, so let's get started. So now the first thing that immediately drew my attention, or like I noticed, was when he was telling her that he has a goal, and his goal is for, I'm going to be paraphrasing a lot of the things anyway, so his goal is, he sees, or his vision is for their child to be breastfed for 1 year. That's the vision he has had. And immediately he said that, I was like, but you're not the one going to be doing the breastfeeding. And I actually did see a comment like that in the comment section, where like, how can you have a vision like that when you are not the one going to be doing the breastfeeding? Personally, I feel like that goal is a goal that should be set by the mother. Okay, now he was like, and I think from their prior conversation, he was asking her, okay, so this breastfeeding thing, we are doing it for 1 year, and what's the goal, what's the game plan? Immediately he said that, I said, are you and my husband in the same WhatsApp group? Because when we first got married, Richard used to ask me that a lot, and it was like, if I say, oh, let's do this, or I'm going to do this right now, I don't remember the specific scenarios, but he used to say it so often, like, okay, so what's the plan? And it used to piss me off so bad. And I was even telling him about it, like when I watched the video, I was like, do you remember you used to do that? Like when I say something, okay, so what's the plan? I'm like, I don't need, that is not the response I need from you. I don't need a plan. I'm not trying to get a plan. I'm just informing you about this. Okay, stop trying to think it out and come up with a solution or come up with a plan. I don't remember how I ended up communicating it to him, but it got too much. I ended up having to tell him about it. And this is the same thing that he is doing here. So men typically tend to be logical. And I remember thinking to myself when I was watching the video that, guy, what you need to be asking her is, how can I help you with this breastfeeding journey? And eventually she did say it. I was like, the best thing you need to be asking her is, how can I help you? And it's like he is saying one thing, and she kept saying that what she hears him say is, you are not doing enough. You are not doing your best. Your milk is not coming. You are not giving the baby milk. With everything that he's saying, that is what she is hearing So that's the thing about communication. You need to, at a point, and I've had that several times with my husband, where he says something and I'm like, this is how I understood it, and he is flabbergasted as to, how do you understand something that I said this way? And I'm like, well, that is what it meant to me. And that was the exact same thing that was playing out between the two of them. And I just kept saying, guy, just listen to your wife. And he was like, he sees that's his 1 year goal, like that's his goal. And she said something that I really agree with her, and she was like, no, she doesn't have a 1 year goal. All she wants is to be able to get through each day at a time, to get through the day where she's breastfeeding her child and the child is getting enough milk for the day, for what she needs during the day, so that she's not crying, she's not cranky, or she doesn't need a top up from formula. That is her goal. And I agree with her 100%, because I have said on this channel a number of times, and I've said it to a lot of my new mom friends, that take it a day at a time. Don't think about 3 months from now. Don't think about 9 months from now. Don't even think about tomorrow. Think about today. Think about how you're going to survive through the day, because motherhood is stressful, especially being a new mom. You have been thrown into a new world altogether, and then she mentioned another thing where she said, he's stressing her. Whenever he brings up this topic, it stresses her. He's stressing her about it. And his answer was, I'm not stressing you. And I was like, Efo, listen to her. If she's telling you that you stress her out when you talk about this thing, then it means you are stressing her. Listen to her and don't stress her about it. Because, like she rightly said, stress reduces your breast milk production. Okay, so stress produces this hormone called, is it cortisol? And then that hinders breast milk production. So it's like, you are, as a new mother, you're already suffering. Okay, you are trying to stay alive, you are trying to stay awake, you are probably battling with baby blues or depression, you are thinking of how to get more milk for your baby, you are tired, you are exhausted, you are also thinking about your body getting back into shape. So not just your tummy getting flatter, but the fact that my tummy was very black by the time I gave birth, and I was like, when is my color returning? So you're thinking about that, thinking about the stretch marks. If you had a C-section, you're thinking about your wound, healing. You don't need stress from your partner or anybody else about breastfeeding. And then now he says something else. He says something about the fact that, and it's like, when I say certain things, you don't want to listen to me. It's like you prefer to listen or hear from other people. And so she was like, okay, give me an example. And he was like, breastfeeding. And I was like, but you are a man. And that was literally her response. You are a man. So for me, I am more likely to go to a man to ask him to tell me about this brand of car and how the engine works. I am more likely to go to a man than to a woman, or I am more likely to even listen to a man give me his opinions about a particular car and how the engine works. And it's the same way that I am more likely to speak to a fellow mom who I know has given birth. Of course, the mom has given birth, but who has given birth, who has breastfed or had challenges with. Everybody has had challenges with breastfeeding. No matter, even if your breastfeeding journey was successful, you've had challenges along the way. So I am more likely to call one of my friends who is a mom, or even call a lactation consultant to say, I am having this challenge. And mostly I may be wrong, but I'm here to find a lactation consultant who is a man, but it's very possible anyways. But I'm more likely to speak to somebody who has gone through it and can tell me, encourage me, tell me what they did. Maybe I can also try that, than I am to talk to you or listen to what you have to say, because you are trying to mansplain it, and that's not what we need right now. We don't need stress. So if your wife is telling you that you are stressing her out when you talk about this particular topic, and it's also because of the way you are presenting your support, so listen to her, okay? But the general theme of the thing is, I want to support you. So we understand that you are the father and you want to support your wife, you want to support your child, okay? But saying that we have to have a plan, and the reason why we have to have a plan, I am the head of the home, I'm the head of the family. I'm like, excuse me, sir, you can be the head of the home from beginning to end, and it's our body, we are doing this breastfeeding thing together. It's our bodies, it's one body, one half is yours, one half is mine. Therefore, your nipples are useless. No matter how big you are, no matter how big your head is as a head of the family, no matter how priestly you are as a priest of the home, your nipples are still useless. Your breasts are useless. You cannot breastfeed this child. And the challenges, you are trying to be supportive, yes, but you will never fully able, you will never be fully able to understand her challenges. Okay, so she said something that I found to be very profound, and she said, you can only feel my pain in the way that you can imagine it. So we understand you are trying to be a supportive father, a supportive husband, but when it comes to breastfeeding, it's the same as men not being able to understand labor. Yes, you were there when she was going through all the pregnancy symptoms but you will never be able to sympathize with her as much as another mom who has gone through it. So yes, you can offer your support, but the best thing to do is to ask, babe, how can I help you through this breastfeeding journey? And I love the fact that she said that her goal is to feed their baby directly from the breast. So basically nursing on demand. That is her goal. She doesn't have to pump. So I don't know so much about them. But from what she was saying, I gather or assume that they are self-employed, they work on their own. I don't know if it's the YouTube or photography thing, but they work on their own. So she doesn't have to think about returning to work where she's leaving the baby every day to go to work, so she has to pump to get a freezer stash. I would say that if you're a stay-at-home mom and you don't have to think about going back to work to formal employment, then there's really no need for you to have a freezer stash. Once in a while you can pump and store it, so that if you have to go out with your spouse, or you're going somewhere, you're going without the baby, then whoever is home can feed the baby with the milk. And even that, when you can do it maybe 2 days before, a day before. But as a stay-at-home mom also, not just as a stay-at-home mom, generally as a new mom, if you want to increase your supply, nursing on demand and trying to pump in between nursing sessions help. It's very hard, it's very tough, but they help. Now, the one thing I also want to chip in from my personal experience is the fact that my breastfeeding journey was successful, but it was tough. There were so many times my husband would be like, why don't we just go and buy formula so I don't have to breastfeed him all the time? And I'm like, no. The days where I really wanted to give up, I would go on Instagram. That would be the day I would see something about breastfeeding on Instagram, something about the bond that you have with your child, and people commenting about the fact that they wish they could have that breastfeeding time again. Maybe their child is 4 or 5 and they no longer have any more children, or the amazing health benefits of breastfeeding, how it helps. Every time I really was on the verge of giving up and saying, forget this, let me just do formula, that is what will pop up on my timeline and would encourage me to keep going. And the times when my husband was like, let's just buy formula, I'm like, okay, I've come to the point where my milk supply has come. People are struggling, but my milk supply is fine. It's enough for the boy. So if I've been blessed enough to have that, let me force and at least do the 6 months exclusive. And we got to 19 months. So that is my experience on the matter. Now back to the communication aspect of it. Men and women communicate differently. Once you are dating, once you're married, you need to learn how to communicate. And it doesn't come in a day. It's not easy. 10 years later, some people are still trying to figure it out when it comes to communication. I like the fact that they were both calm. They weren't exchanging insults and everything. And at a point he mentioned that I find it disrespectful, or he feels disrespected when she puts her point across in a certain way, and she apologized there and then. But at the end of the video, when she was talking about the fact that she feels like they should have this conversation another time, because it's not the right time to have the conversation. They should have the conversation another time, because whenever he's talking about it, what she hears and how he makes her feel is the fact that she's not doing enough. I was expecting an apology at that point, but no apology came. And I know some people will come for me and probably say that it's not everything that they put on camera, yada yada yada. Maybe he apologized to her off camera. But I feel like if you are talking about communication, if your whole post, that post was pointing to communication, then even if you didn't record, the camera wasn't recording at the time that you said sorry, you could have added it in your write-up saying that, oh, I apologize to her afterwards. You could have apologized on camera. I still feel that he should have apologized when she said what she said, because when you said what you said, she did apologize right there and then. So that's my opinion on that. I read through the comments. There weren't so many men in the comments as there were women, and some people thought that, or were of the opinion that this guy is just, he's not getting it, because people were like, they were saying like, listen to her, you're not listening to her, you know. The way she was expecting him to put across his points, it's not what he was doing. He was just thinking in a logical way. And somebody commented, and as a man commented and said, stop trying to mansplain the whole breastfeeding thing. It doesn't work that way, you know. So I would do a separate video and I'll talk about the ways that men can support their wives during breastfeeding or during pumping. So I'll add the two together. I know I've already done a video on how you can support your wife who has just delivered. That's separate from this one. We are talking about breastfeeding in particular. When your wife sits down to pump, how can you help her? When she's sitting down and she's breastfeeding, how can you help her? How can you offer your support in ways that it makes the journey a little less stressful than it is? So I hope that this video has been informative to any, especially the men who are watching this, but also the fact that we all need to remember that communication is very key in our relationships, and the fact that when you have just had a baby, you are both tired, you are both stressed, you are both trying to figure yourselves out and find your footing. So tempers rise very easily because you're also sleep deprived. So you need to, these are also moments of adjusting. You need to find times where it's best to talk about issues, you know. Wait till you're all, like, find a way around it, but you need to be mindful of the fact that it does, in the early stages, the early weeks, when you're trying to find yourselves as parents, it's a time of a lot of tension. So you need to find the balance, find your way around it as you find your footing in the parenting life. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and learned something from it. Please share it out, and thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.